Hey, good morning everybody. So today I want to show you how to make a face. So we're going to start with making like the base where your face is going to go. So it needs to be kind of egg shaped. So it's going to be thicker at the top where the eyes are going to go, and then slightly skinnier down at the bottom where your chin is going to go. And it looks kind of like a dome shape like this. So you're just going to take your chunk of clay and start with it in your hands. And you're going to just kind of squish it and start using the table to make, the backside flat, right? You're gonna kind of squish it into the shape that you need. Now we are gonna need to hollow these things out eventually, but we will do that towards the end once we have basically finished all the facial features and stuff. We'll just hold it from this side. So you want to spend some time kind of, refining, flattening it out. You don't want it to just be flat. You need to have all the curves and everything. So you're not just banging it flat. This is not the same as this, okay? It needs to look like this one here. If yours is getting flat on top, you're gonna have a really hard time doing the rest of the steps. So if yours is starting to get flat, then squish your clay around till it's not flat anymore. Pull some of those edges up and round it out, okay? But spend a little bit of time, make sure it's kind of smooth, right? But get rid of all the little funky bits. If you get some clay boogies, just kind of, make sure you smooth it out. So keep smoothing until it looks like this. So then the next thing that we're gonna look at is we're gonna look at face placement, okay? So on a human face, you always think that the eyes are way up tall, right? But on your actual head, your eyes are more in the middle of your head. And then you have the center where this is where your nose and mouth line up, but your eyeballs are actually way far down. The reason why it looks like it's up in higher on your head is because of the hairline. So there's actually a bunch of, the top of your head is hidden by your hair. So go ahead and right in the very center of your little head shape, go ahead and draw the line with the needle tool and draw the line straight down, straight in the middle across, straight in the middle down, okay? Then use the back end of a giant paintbrush, or you can use a ball tool if you happen to have it. But right next to the side of this little cross, you are going to make a little indent. Now the indent, you want it to be, and basically we're making eye sockets right now. You want it to be about the same thickness of the dent in between your eyes. So you want it to look kind of like that, all right? Once you have that, make sure you are ready for the next step. So the next thing is we're gonna actually add in eyeballs. If you make both eyes at the same time, it's a little bit easier to check the size. So check and make sure they're actually the same size. These are not the same size. So take a little clay off one if you need to, or, add a little bit more clay, but get it really close. You don't have to add in pupils at this point. You could paint those on later if you want to, but you just want the roundness to be about the same, right? Okay. So now these need to fit inside the holes, okay? So if yours don't fit in the holes, either make the eye holes a little bit bigger, or you can make the little eyes themselves a little bit smaller, but they should fit in like that, so they stick out just a little bit. So see how they just barely stick out? Another technique for this, if you're trying to do it on your monster mug, is kind of what we learned before, where you take a smaller piece and you flatten it into a dome shape. and you can slip and score it on. So like you would slip and score it on here, and that'll give you kind of the same basic shape. Since we're making this face, we're gonna do it this way, but on your monster mug, you could do it either way. So now that you have your basic face shape, I'm gonna add on in the eyeballs, I'm gonna add on the bottom lid. So you only need a small amount of clay. It's still a good idea to make sure that you're making them at the same time. And basically, I'm gonna make a banana, right? And I'm gonna flatten it out. I'm gonna make like a little shape that could have been a tooth, but then I make it a tooth on both sides, and I flatten it out just a little bit. And whichever side seems a little bit more like it would be easier to curve up, then I'm gonna curve it. And that is gonna get laid over the bottom of my eye. So this is the bottom part of the eye. Now, if you're trying to make somebody look like they haven't had much sleep and you just want to slip and score these on right here, you totally could. If you don't want them to look like they have heavy eye bags underneath their eyes, then you're gonna do a little bit of scoring. So try not to make a giant mess when you go to score and slip your stuff. So I'm not gonna score on the actual eyeball. I'm scoring the eyelid and just underneath the eye like this. Whee! And then I'm gonna take just a little teeny bit of water. Remember, kiss it like a dewdrop fairy. So you're just trying to make this part like shiny. You're not trying to make it sloppy, okay? So kiss it like a dewdrop fairy. And then when you put this on, notice how I didn't mess up this edge, right? I don't wanna mess up the edge that's gonna touch my eyeball. I just want the bottom half to get blended in. So I'm not sticking my finger all the way up to the eyeball. I'm just blending in. And if you need to use a tool, if this is too small for your finger to fit, you can use a tool. But I'm not going all the way up to the eyelid itself. I'm just blending underneath it. So same thing on the other side. You're gonna score right here, wee. And you're gonna score the bottom side of the eyelid. Slip it like a dewdrop fairy. So it's just a little bit of water. Don't add too much water, otherwise it makes the rest of the steps harder to do. You still need a little bit of water to make it stick, but just not a lot. Okay, and try to keep your fingers clean so you don't add clay boogies into areas where you don't want clay boogies. And then you're just gonna blend the bottom part again. Whee. Okay. And if you're watching this on your own, and you need to pause to finish a step, pause and finish a step. If it's in class, I'll pause it for you. And if you need more time and like I haven't paused it and everybody else needs more time too, just let me know. So now I'm gonna make the top eyelids. Now this one's really small. Oh, actually, I am gonna add in the two little dots, the little tear ducts. I'm gonna add one in right there. And I'm gonna add one in right here. And remember, they're just really small. Do try to make them even. That one wasn't even. Okay, by the time those get covered up, that'll be fine. All right, so now you gotta make the top eyelids. Make sure you've got squishy clay. You're gonna make 2 more bananas. Clay on this one. I know these are all super dainty, but it's good practice for before you do like your monster mug or do a bigger thing. So make your kind of tapered coil shape. If it's starting to get super cracky, then you might want to just go get fresher clay. So like for me, I messed around with that too long, so I need some better clay. So I'm gonna grab some better clay and I'm gonna try it again. Okay, don't be afraid to like pause and get better clay, okay? So you can see I kind of made my little shape like this, right? I'm gonna flatten it out just a little bit. I still wanna leave some thickness over here though, right? And it looks like it'll be easier to curve it from this side. So now I'm gonna make the other one. Like I said, make them both at the same time so you can kind of check and make sure that you're even on both sides. Okay. All right, so here we go. We're gonna flatten it out just a little bit. Pick whichever side looks like it'll be easier to curve. And then these get laid over the top. Now these ones are super huge. And if I wanted to be all like, raw, this is gonna be like a crazy, like, I'm gonna leave these. I'm gonna make like a crazy evil looking character. So you could make them smaller, you can make them bigger. They should touch the bottom eyelid part though. So like, it kind of depends. So I've decided I'm gonna do that. Now you do need to slip and score. So just like before, you're not gonna slip and score on the actual eyeball, but you are gonna slip and score the back half of the eyelid and the outside of, right outside the eyeball, okay? So we're gonna go like this, we're gonna go like that. If it's just a little bit cracky because you're using it, that's okay. If it gets too cracky while you're forming it, not a good thing. Make another one. So do your scoring. Now, depending on what you want to do for this, like, are you trying to make it, oh, that was a lot of water. See how that was a lot of water? Don't add a lot of water. Okay, so depending on what you want it to look like, if you want to leave these kind of big ridges, because you think that looks cool, go for it. And if you're like, no, I want to blend it in, you can blend it in too. I think I'm gonna leave mine because I think they look cool. So I'm gonna squeeze these on there. Notice I'm not getting my finger right next to the eyeball because I don't want to squish the ball part of my eyeball.